we are talking about the Omnitracs system, and more specifically, we're talking about the AOBRD, there we go, device transitioning into the ELD for the Omnitracs. So that's what we're doing here at Decker this second quarter. And I know with DOT mandate, we need to be transitioned over from our grandfathered AOBRD device to the ELD by December 2019. And so even though the transition for the ELD started most companies had to be in to the ELD by December of 2017, we, however, were grandfathered in with the AOBRD device since we were electronic logs back in, since 2010. So, hey, Mudflap, good to see ya. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is our transition from the AOBRD to the ELD, how it's going to affect you, what you need to be aware of, what the key factors are, and all that good stuff. So that's what we're discussing. If you have any questions throughout any of this, don't forget to comment in the chat there, and I'll get to it right away. Of course, you can always get a hold of one of our recruiters at 888-668-0698 or apply online at drivedecker.com, because at the end, yes, indeed, we will talk about some of the different positions we have available here at Decker. But in the meantime, let's talk about what we came here for, which is the ELD transition. A couple of things that you need to know right off the bat with the ELDs, you do need to know how to put it in inspector mode. So every time that you go into an inspection, the officer may ask for a review of the ELD system. So with the Omnitracs, you're going to have the inspector mode. And the officer is going to ask you for your logs. And with our system, we don't have the USB and we don't have the Bluetooth. So what you'll need is they'll need to provide you with an email address, which is really a DOT wide email address, so it doesn't go specifically to that officer. So they'll provide you with an email address. You will submit your logs through the inspector mode to that email address. And once you've sent it, then the inspector can request it from that email address. So that's the back end of it. But you need to know what device you're on. We are on an Omnitracs ELD. It's an IVG system. So that's the inspector mode that you'll need to know. And then you'll need to be able to access not only the training, which you can access within that inspector mode, within the device itself, but you'll also need to access your logs so that you can send them to the officer or to that email address. With the Omnitracs system, you can go inspect your logs, go check them out if you need to print them out, whatever. You can get to that through the portal, the driver portal on Omnitracs. You'll have access through the system itself, the Omnitracs system. You'll also have access online, and we'll give you that we'll give you that web address as well that you'll be able to enter in your information and passcode in order to access your logs for the last 6 months. It only goes to 6 months, so make sure that if you need it, that you print off those logs. But we'll be able to check those out whenever you need to. So the IVG cab card is in the back of your manual, which is provided in all of our trucks. It'll be in the back of your permit book, as well as an 8-day paper log. Now, the paper log is there in case the ELD system malfunctions. And I'm going to go in a little bit more detail here, but malfunctioning does not mean that you messed up on your logs and that you're not able to fix them. So in order to get those extra miles that you want, you're going to just change it. That is not a malfunction. That is you not being aware of what you need to put into your ELD system, you not certifying when you should, or not planning and scheduling your day like you should. So be aware that you always want to check, double check, be patient with the system, and certify the information every single time. So malfunctions is when it flat out isn't working. You can't turn it on, you can't get anywhere within it. And if the system is malfunctioning, you need to contact the safety department, which here at Decker is extension 8533. So if the system is malfunctioning, you need to contact safety within 24 hours. That is a must. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to go right on to paper logs immediately. What that means is that the safety department needs to address the issue. And at that point, they need to determine, yes, you need to go on to paper logs, or no, you can reboot the system, which is a great way of troubleshooting it. So in order to reboot the system, what they can do that on their end, the safety department can take care of that. You might need to just power down the unit and then turn the truck on. You don't need to power on the unit all the way. It needs to be on the auxiliary position. So just the key on the on position. And that way you're not worrying about any idle time, because that was a question I was asked yesterday. You won't need to worry about excess idling as long as you have the way on. But that gives the ELD system, the Omnitracs system, enough wattage to actually power on the Omnitracs system correctly, so that if there was in fact a malfunction or an error at some point, it can reboot and with enough wattage. If you're using just the APU unit, because yes, our trucks all have APU units on them, but if you're using just the APU unit to run the Omnitracs system, it may not have enough wattage. And then at that point, yes, it could have a malfunction, but that's an easy fix. You just turn everything off and give it a few minutes, turn it back on, and it reboots. And it only takes a couple moments to reboot. It's not like a 15, 20-minute process. All right, so again, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the section over here. Let's make sure that I'm not missing anything. Anna has provided us a whole lot of information here, which is great. So there's the link to the Omnitracs. That's where you can obtain your records, but there's also training available. So Omnitracs has provided us a 9-video series for training that will be really helpful in the transition from the AOBRD device to the ELD device. Now, in addition to that, we'll have our quarterly training, and this is the beginning of the second quarter. And for everybody who is who has or is going to do the quarterly training, which is everybody, then you will be transitioning into the ELD device as you do your quarterly training. Now, what are we, 2 weeks in? We do have people who have already transitioned from the AOBRD to the ELD system, so it is working. We haven't had any kinks yet, but we have noticed that we need to make sure that you guys are slowing down when you're entering in your information and taking the time to review it before you certify your logs. And again, that's another section that we'll discuss here in just a few moments so that you can know the full spectrum of what it takes to get your logs certified and what you need to do to make sure that they are, in fact, ready to go before certifying. So we'll talk about all of that. But again, if you have any questions about the malfunction, or if it seems to be malfunctioning, make sure that you get a hold of the safety department at extension 8533 so that they are aware of the issue and they can take care of it. And if they feel that you need to transition into the paper logs, then they'll let you know at that point. But yes, the safety department has to know within 24 hours, and the repair, if it is a malfunction, like a full-blown malfunction where restarting and rebooting it isn't going to do the trick, then at that point, they have 8 days, or we have 8 days within our safety department to take care of that malfunction and fix it. So there you go. Okay. Again, the extension for safety is 8533. Deb her extension is 2313, and she'll be able to answer any questions that you might have on the matter as well. So if you're watching the replay, if you don't leave a comment in the section here where I can obviously get back to you, you can always get a hold of her as well. Okay. All right. Am I missing anything? I see our side convo. Hey, Bob. There we go. Hope all is good. Okay. So we talked about the inspector mode. We talked about the ELD malfunctioning, and now drive time. Drive time is super important. Obviously, that's what all of this is about. But on these new ELDs, you cannot edit your drive time. You as a professional driver can't edit it. We here in the back office cannot edit it. So you need to make sure that it is accurate, that everything on there is correct before you certify your logs. And you must certify your logs, which is basically approving them, double checking, triple checking, and approving the logs before you certify them every single day. And it's every 24 hours. So it is not a wait 3 days, then certify type thing. It is an every 24-hour process. Okay. All right. So drive time, it cannot be edited by anybody. And that's going to include your personal conveyance. And it's also going to include yard movements. Now, remember, personal conveyance is flat out personal conveyance. It can only be used for personal use. So say you're running to Walmart to go get groceries. That's fine, as long as you are not trying to get an extra, an extra couple of miles in order to get a load there on time. Personal conveyance can be used, but it has to be for personal use only. Yard movement is on private property. You cannot move around at a truck stop for yard movement. So those are the differences between the two, but remember, it's all on drive time. Some steak for, oh, Bob, already on the steak. You're making it rough for me over here. Then we've got this side conversation. Awesome. Yes, the personal conveyance, we do have a time limit. It's 30 minutes or 25 miles. So personal conveyance limit, 30 minutes or 25 miles max. And that's per 24 hours. So that's midnight to midnight, so per day. That's absolutely correct. Personal conveyance cannot be used to advance your load. It is flat out personal use only. That's what PC stands for. Yes, personal conveyance, your engine must be on, the parking brake released, and entered into PC to make it work. With the ELD system, there's going to be several scenarios that you're going to need to input additional information, like comments, and some of them are preset that you can choose from. But if your situation doesn't or isn't included within that preset and you need to give further details, it does have a free form entry that you can actually enter up to 25 different characters in case you need to add more information to it. So for instance, say you need to fix your logs, it says that you were on duty for 3 hours possibly. So let's just use that as an example. And during that time, you were actually off duty for part of the time and on duty training for the other part of the time. Then you can split that. And again, if you want to access the training videos, which are super helpful, you can go to the Omnitracs website and access those right now. And they will give you a step-by-step on how to actually use the system itself. Very, very helpful. Please use that. They took the time, and it really is helpful. So in the Omnitracs system, you'll have your logs, and during that time frame, if you have a red exclamation mark next to that certain section, it's basically flagging the system, letting you know that, hey, we can't move forward, you can't move on to the next step, whether it be driving or whatever, until that's taken care of. You can't certify your logs until this is taken care of. So you've got a red exclamation mark, you need to address that issue. If the issue is that you were partially off duty and partially in training, then you go to split that time. And so it'll have that one section, it'll then create two sections identical to themselves. At that time, you edit it. And when you're making your edits, you're going to need to make the comments, because with every edit, it is required to have that comment. This side convo is for Bob and I. Yes, I see that. I'm a little late to that conversation. So you'll have the two sections, and the bottom section is going to be, well, either one will be the one that you need to edit. So you'll edit accordingly. So if the second section, the second time frame is actually going to be your training, at that point, you will make those changes, you will add the comment, and then you will approve before going back to the rest of your logs and reviewing and certifying them. You must certify with every 24-hour period. Very important. You cannot go back. What else? Oh, and when you're taking breaks, make sure that you complete every single break before moving on to the next step, whether it be driving or back on duty or whatever. Make sure that you complete the break. And I'm very adamant about this. I'm going to be very adamant about this because the system itself is. This is not a round to the next 5 minute, round to 15 or anything like this. This is real time. So it is second by second. If you are just coming off break, wait 1 full minute. I know that might seem drastic to you, but it's not. I mean, wait 1 full minute, because if you are not completely done with your break and you try to start driving, it is going to kick you back and start your break all the way over. So a good example of this is if you are on your 34-hour restart, you're at home possibly, and you need to move the truck. Maybe it's in, I don't know, who knows, you have to move the truck. So you get in the truck, you move it, that is going to restart your break over. So you have to redo everything. You must complete your break before you make any other movements. Wait at least a minute afterwards just to assure yourself that it is complete and you're not going to have to redo it. Everything's on the timer. You can see it. You'll have a countdown right at the top of how much drive time you have, break, everything. It's right there at the top, so you'll be able to see that. Yes, my pup, that'd be true. Yes, thanks, Wyatt. Yep, we've got those videos for you as well if you want to access those. And we'll bring more to you. What else do we have here? When you're making the changes when you're making the edits within the ELD system, use the eraser of a pencil or the stylus pen or whatever, something small and soft so that you can make those changes. If you're pressing on the touch screen, which is super duper sensitive, if you're pressing on the touch screen and you're pressing too hard, it's not going to register. You're going to break the thing. So make sure that you're gently entering in the information and that you are entering in the information every time. Don't assume that every load is going to be transferred in or updated each and every time. You need to confirm that the information is right. So take your bill and review it. Make sure that that information on your bill is accurate to the information on your ELD so that they are consistent. And if it asks you to re-enter it, re-enter it. It is just double checking everything, just like you should. So because once you certify your logs, you cannot edit them. Now in the back office, we can edit to a point on your logs, but we cannot edit any drive time. So make sure you're patient, you're taking your time, you're planning ahead, you're planning your day ahead, you're planning your load and entering in that information correctly each and every time. It may ask you to certify it twice, double checking it. That's fine. Just take the time to do it. And always enter in that information to be sure that it's correct. Okay. What else am I got here? Unassigned vehicle activity. That's another thing that needs to be addressed. If your truck was moved during, maybe you went to the terminal or you had to go to the shop, you need to sign out. Sign out every time there could be a possible chance that somebody else could be driving your truck. You don't have to sign out every day as long as somebody else isn't going to be driving the truck. So if you're an over-the-road driver and you're in the truck every day, you're not going to the shop or the terminal at this point, or you're not team or training, then you don't need to worry about signing out every day. Every week or every couple weeks, that's fine, but not necessarily every day. As somebody who's maybe local or slip seating, yes, you want to sign out every single day, possibly after every load. You do need to certify constantly after every load, on a daily basis, but you don't need to sign out every time. If you're over the road, you don't have to sign out every single day. But if you're slip seating, or if you're going into the shop, or if you're going into a terminal where you will possibly have somebody else driving, then yes, absolutely sign out. Otherwise, it'll pop up and it'll say unassigned driver. Well, even if you don't, so it'll pop up and it'll say unassigned driver. And at that point, you need to either accept or decline that time frame. So if it wasn't you, then you're going to put decline, and then in the comment section, you'll say at the shop, or in the at the terminal and yard movement, whatever it might be. So you're going to need to identify that each and every time. Oh, yes. It's better than 12-ounce girls mud flat. Oh, Bob, you are awesome. I like it. Mondays and Tuesdays are my favorite too. So always, always, always check your logs before you get out of your truck. Check your logs before you start driving, and you're going to be certifying them constantly. So that's what you're going to be doing as you check them. All right. Vehicle activity should only occur, again, with a shop driver, or if you are teaming, then you're going to be constantly signing in and out, logging in and out, and identifying who the driver is. If you're training, same scenario, then you're going to be logging in and out constantly as well. But as a solo driver running over the road, you're going to stay logged in. You can log out every week or so. Yes, so logs must be certified every day, just like we had said. And if you don't do that, if you fail to certify your logs on a daily basis, it will or could possibly prevent you from making any edits within your logs. That being said, it could not only create an issue with editing your logs, but it'll also possibly cause falsification. It's red flagging, basically, in the inspector mode. So it could, by certifying everything, by logging in and out, it's going to prevent the falsification of logs. It's going to help with your form and manner issues, form and manner violations, because a form and manner violation itself can be 3 points, I believe, if the form and manner is incorrectly. So there's a form and manner for paper logs, and there's a form and manner for the ELDs, and you need to be consistent with those. But yes, you can use the NA. So let's give an example. And again, this is all certifying your logs before, or what you need to do before you certify your logs each and every time. If you're talking about coming off a home time, or you go onto home time, you fail to log off, or you fail to certify, then you come back on after a 34-hour restart, because you waited the whole 34 hours before going back on duty. Then you need to go log in and notice that, hey, this warning sign came up. We've got the red exclamation. It's telling me that there's an issue. So at that point, you are going to log in, see what's wrong, and it's probably you failed to change your duty status. So at that point, it's going to ask you for load information. You're not going to be on a load. You're on home time in this scenario. So you're going to need to put NA, which is acceptable. So NA, and then 34-hour restart. At that point, you can then, once you've done that for every day, for the last 2 days, 3 days, then you can go back and certify your previous logs. But you can't certify your logs until that issue is taken care of first. And you don't want to certify your logs until that issue is taken care of either, since you can't make any edits once you certify. Good? Good. Crystal clear? crystal clear. What am I missing over here in this sidebar? I see LOLs. Yes, Bob, I did check into that. I haven't got an answer yet, but I did check into that. Yes, I would be happy to repeat everything for you, Mudflap. Just wait till the end of this and then push replay. Don't encourage. Yes, that's right. Anna, did I mention drive time is recorded? Drive time cannot be edited by anyone. The unit will ask load information for your trailer periodically. And even though that information may look like it's there, you need to enter it in. Even if it was previously entered, you need to enter it in no matter what. Slow down, take your time and do it. And if there was no load, that NA is an acceptable answer to enter. Remember, I said there's a free form that allows up to 25 characters. Oh, good point. Anna makes a good point. If you certify on duty for several days, you cannot use paper logs to correct yourself. So keep on going, then you're going to have to wait, okay. So you can't just use the paper logs as a way to keep that load going or your hours going because you messed up on the ELD. If you messed up on the ELD and it's on the drive time or on duty, that's where, you have to suck it up. I don't know what a better way to say it. If it's something that the back office can correct, then you'll have to wait till the back office corrects it before you can move forward. Otherwise, there's nothing, you can't do anything once it's certified. And you do not use the paper logs unless the ELD flat out doesn't work. And one thing Deb had mentioned is even though the ELD may say malfunction, if you're going through the mountains, it might say that for an hour or two and then come back online and be working just fine. That doesn't mean that you can go on paper logs for that time period. You need to let the safety department know so that they can address the issue. And if that is in fact something that they can get you back online, awesome. Rebooting everything like we talked about earlier, where you can turn the key off, turn the key back onto the auxiliary, and get everything jump started. For the most part, jump started. Maybe that was the wrong phrase to use, but that'll get everything back to where it needs to be and reset. Okay. Oh, let's see. Yes, here Anna provided this link to the Omnitracs. It's very helpful. It's training. It's step-by-step. They're really short videos. They're 1 to 3 minutes, I think is what they average. And it breaks it down, tells you what each step is, easy to find, and you can access that right there. So excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Always check your logs. Oh, and then you can access your logs for 6 months on the Omnitracs portal. So you'll have access to that as well. Excellent. Oh, Mudflap is headed out, flying by. Be safe. Thanks for joining us. Again, we talked a little bit about CSA points and how if you don't put in the correct information that, what was the instance that I gave? I know I just gave one a few minutes ago. Oh, for the form and manners, if you fail to do those correctly, that can be a 3-point violation. But there are several different violations. Actually, I think there's 22 violations that the CSA, that DOT has assigned for CSA points on the ELD system that is basically new to us. And that's going to be anywhere from 1 to 5 points each for those violations. So that's why it's so important that you slow down, that you're patient when you're doing this, and you're always double checking. And it's doable. I know a lot of you are afraid that you're not going to have the miles, you're not going to be able to make any money off of these, but you can. You can. You just need to learn the system and have that system work for your hours, work for your schedule. One example that Deb gave me as well is if you're night driving and a lot of your routes, say you're on a dedicated and you're doing a lot of night driving, you can still do the night driving. Again, you just need to make it work for your schedule. Know how the system works, be patient with the system, learn it, and then make it work for your schedule, the schedule that you were on. Yes, there we go. So it's the logs must be certified every day. Failure to do so can result in the inability to edit your logs, and they're also subject to the CSA points. So there are 22 new categories. That's what it was. 22 new categories for the ELD violations, and they range from 1 to 5 points each. So absolutely. What else am I missing? Yes, extension 8533 for safety. So if you have any questions, if you have any issues with your ELD system, extension 8533. And again, we are transitioning within the second quarter. We are transitioning everybody after they complete their training, their safety training for this quarter. They'll be transitioned into the ELD system. So it's going to be top of mind as you're doing it, instead of we're going to learn the process and then 6 months down the road, we're going to change it out. No, we want to make sure that when you're making the change, it's right after you have completed your safety training for the quarter. We've got guys switching over today and Thursday. We had guys switching over. We have guys who've been on it for 2 weeks. So again, this is new, and it is going to have a learning curve for us because, just like anything else new, it's going to take some time to getting used to, but just please be patient, okay? Am I missing anything, Anna, that you can think of? Slow down, Bob. It wasn't, Bob, it wasn't, but it can be if it needs to be a speeding joke. He's wondering if if I was giving him a hard time about speeding. But I wasn't, but I will now. The beginning of trip. So once you've reached 5 miles per hour, which that's basically the 5 mile per hour point is going to trigger the drive line. So that's going to activate the drive line. It does, as far as I am aware of, the distance is not relevant. It doesn't matter how long you're below the 5 miles, but once you hit that 5 mile mark, that bench, that's what trips the drive line. Okay. Once you stop, the default status is on duty, and it'll stay on duty. If you've been sitting for 5 minutes, you've stopped, but you haven't certified, you haven't addressed the ELD at all. And then after 5 minutes, so on the 6 minute mark, it will ask you, so a pop-up will come up and say, are you driving? Are you on duty? Or whatever. It's going to ask you that. And at that point, you need to answer accordingly. So you need to either accept on duty status or say, no, I'm off duty, but it needs to be answered. So if you were after 6 minutes, so on 5 minutes, at that 5 minute mark is going to trigger the question. You're going to need to respond. If you don't respond after another minute, so at the 6 minute mark, if you had not responded, it's going to automatically kick you onto on duty. If you weren't on duty, at that point, you need to edit it to write off duty. And then of course, oops, I'm throwing things. And then once you've edited it for off duty, then you need to, in the comment section, put any annotations on what you were doing. And that's taken care of. And at that point, you can then certify, but you can't certify until you take care of that point. Always check your logs before you get out of the truck and before you start your day. Always check your logs. You don't have to log out every time as an over-the-road driver, but you need to check them. And you may have been on duty for the past 3 days. Again, I gave that scenario. If you were on duty for the last 3 days, before you start going off and taking care of that load, that trip, you need to address that time period that you failed to log off or you failed to go off duty. So if you failed to go off duty, just as a reminder, one more time, take care of that time period. Address that 34 hours or the last 3 days or whatever it might have been. Put NA for the load, because you weren't on a load. If you were at home, possibly, at least if you're a refrigerated driver, you weren't on a load. Put NA and then explain 34-hour restart or off duty. You're going to need to put an explanation, because 4 months down the road, you're not going to remember necessarily what you were doing at that time, and it needs to be taken care of right then and there. After 6 months, you can't even access your logs. So that portal is available to you up to 6 months. Okay, that's what's on file. If you need it, if you need copies, make sure you get it before then. Anything I'm missing? We've got the driver links. Yes, so always make sure that your load information is in the system required. Don't just assume that it's automatically transferred, and because it might not transfer correctly. And then you're going to double check everything because we said so. And then once you've double checked it, then you can certify it. Make any edits, of course, before, if need be, make any edits before you certify. Anna, I cannot believe that. Yeah, the ELD system does not change the hours, the amount of hours that you can work. It doesn't change your hours of service whatsoever. It changes how you record it. Yes, great example. So Anna shared that as well. Be sure that the proper alpha and numeric annotations, the combinations, are correct when you're entering in those annotations or when you're entering in the load information. So if there's an O, make sure it's an O and not a 0. If it's an I, make sure it's not an L or a 1. Make sure that those are correct, because it will be sensitive to that. Case sensitive and everything. Anything else I'm missing? I think that's it. I think we've covered everything for the ELD system. So if you guys have any questions, hi, Joseph, there you go. All new drivers given trucks with the new ELD system, or will they be given an older system and could be switched within the year? Joseph, good question. We expect you to be switched over to the ELD system because you're just going to be starting. Why not have you start with that new ELD system right off the bat instead of learning one and then having to transition within a month or so. So because this is our second quarter training, we're going to have everybody transitioned. Our veteran drivers as well as our new drivers coming in, they're going to be all transitioned over by June, right? Yeah, June 1st. There you go. Good question. Seconds count, yes. And I know I stressed it earlier, but seconds do count. This is not a system that is rounded to the next 15 minutes. It is not rounded to 5. Seconds are seconds. It is real-time counting. So if you are in the middle of a break, and this is probably the most important thing to remember, if you are on a break, complete your break completely. Wait 1 full minute, and then you can go back on duty or whatever status it is that you need to do. Do not interrupt a break. If you interrupt a break on the ELD system, you're going to have to restart it. So you have to start all over. Seconds count, absolutely. So this transition for the ELD for DOT mandates started back in December of 2017. Everybody had to be on the ELD unless you were grandfathered in with the AOBRD device. We were grandfathered in. We were on the electronic logs back in December of, we were on electronic logs back in June of 2010. And so we were grandfathered in. So come December of 2017, we were already there. Now, December of 2019 is coming up, and we needed to make sure that we were going to be compliant with the transition from AOBRD to the ELD. And so that's why we're doing it ahead of time. We want to be everybody on it by June so that if there were any, hiccups, we could take care of those ahead of time. There you go. All right, so we're sitting pretty. You will be able to access a cheat sheet. Jessica has created a cheat sheet for us. Can you see that? It's backwards probably, but we've got a cheat sheet for you. It will be on our blog, And that way, if you have any additional questions, you want a quick answer, you'll be able to access that. And don't forget that you can go to Omnitracs and check out the 9 video series. They're short videos, I promise. But the 9 video series that breaks down what the ELD system is, some of the, not flags, but some of the important things that you're going to need to know and how it could affect you and how you can correct and edit where you can edit. Okay? So you'll be able to access that. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, let us dive into what we've got available here at Decker right now. We've got our over-the-road refrigerated, we've got our over-the-road flatbed, and our Midwest refrigerated and Midwest flatbed. So if you are wondering what is available in your area, make sure that you get a hold of one of our recruiters at 888-668-0698. You can also apply online at drivedecker.com, and we can go through your application at that point, get you approved, and take the next step. Okay. Now, there you go. Thanks, Anna. So again, that number is 888-668-0698 or drivedecker.com to not only reach the application, but our blog. And if you're wondering where you're at for driver referrals, you can access it off of that page as well. So awesome. Over-the-road refrigerated, over-the-road flatbed, Midwest refrigerated, Midwest flatbed. We also have guaranteed pay for Midwest flatbed and Midwest refrigerated. If you live in Mason City, Iowa, to Fort Dodge, Iowa, to Chicago, up to Milwaukee, back to Mason City, if you live along that route, then you would qualify for the flatbed division, the guaranteed pay in the flatbed division. That's $13.50 a week. And if you want more details, let me know. We'll get those answered for you. If you're looking for guaranteed pay in the refrigerated side within the Midwest, if you live on I-90, anywhere from Sioux Falls to Chicago, as long as it's not Madison area, then you'd be within the hiring area for the Midwest refrigerated. That's $12.50 a week. Or if you live from Omaha, Nebraska to Chicago on I-80, that would also put you there within the hiring area for the Midwest refrigerated guaranteed pay. So just let us know if you're not quite sure if it's within the hiring area. Get a hold of us. We will let you know and see if we can make it work for you, or at least tell you what all we have out of your area. We are hiring for Southern Flatbed. Well, we were hiring for our over-the-road flatbed out of California, Oregon, and Washington. Now that's based out of our Bessemer, Alabama terminal, which we do consider our Southern flatbed. But you run coast to coast, and you do obviously up in the Northwest as well as Midwest and the Southeast. So again, that's our over-the-road division. Yes, I do have short haul positions out of the Midwest. If you live in Fort Dodge, if you live in Omaha, if you live in Sioux Falls, or if you live in Minneapolis, we can get you home multiple times a week, usually every other day. And then of course on the weekends, it's going to pay 41 cents a mile, and you'll get a penny raise after 90 days every year on your anniversary for that short haul flatbed position. There we go. And if you want more details on that, you just let me know. But you need to live within 50 miles of Omaha, Fort Dodge, Iowa, or Sioux Falls. Sioux City or Sioux Falls? Make sure. And then Minneapolis. So those are the areas that we can work with. Sioux City, that's what it is. Sorry. Okay, so one more time. Live within 50 miles of Omaha, Sioux City, Fort Dodge, and Minneapolis. There you go. You're looking at about 1,800 to 1,900 miles a week on average for that short haul. And again, about home every other day and on the weekends. 41 cents a mile. 10 cents of that's per diem. So Bob, I'm in the guaranteed pay program between Omaha and Chicago. You are. Yes. Take care of that issue. We do have a local position out of Bessemer right now. We require flatbed experience for that one. It's a local position, Monday through Friday, possibly some Saturdays, but usually Monday through Friday. And it's $17 an hour. The runs usually start, again, it's local, so it's a lot of shuttling. It's usually starting at 7 a.m., Monday through Friday. I mean in the area. I knew what you meant. I gotcha. There we go. Yes, I only have 3 positions available for this, but if you're looking for home weekly and you want to run out of our Western terminal, which is our over-the-road refrigerated out of Missoula, Montana, if you live in Los Angeles, California, within a 50-mile radius, or Kennewick, Washington, or Seattle, Washington, or again, within a 50-mile radius, or Missoula, Montana, and you're leaving your tractor and trailer in Missoula on your home time, then I have 3 positions that'll get you home weekly. Otherwise, it's 2 to 3 weeks out at a time. But those weekly positions, you'll be running a more designated area, more regional area. If you're out of the Los Angeles location, you'd be looking at, now there's not a terminal in Los Angeles, we've just based off of the freight that we have, but you'd be running a lot of I-5, probably some Nevada, some Arizona, but mostly up and down the I-5. If you're out of Kennewick or Seattle, Washington, you'd be doing a lot of that Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Montana, Idaho, possibly Utah. If you're running out of the Missoula location, then you would be looking at basically anything from Washington to Rapid City, South Dakota. That's going to be the main running area for somebody getting home weekly out of Missoula. You can run into the Midwest, but the majority of it's going to be to Sioux Falls. So if you're interested in any of that, give us a call at 888-668-0698. We'll be able to tell you if you're in the runnings for it. Oh, yes, our Lamar's runs. I have 6 positions left. All of them are for the night position. So 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. It does pay $300 per shift. Again, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's 2 days on, 2 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off, and it continues with that rotation back to 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 3 off. And every other weekend, you will have a full 3-day weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have a sign-on bonus for that Lamar's position. It's $2,500, where you'll get $1,000 on first dispatch. And then the next 6 months, it's $250 for that sign-on. And then again, that pay for that shift, that 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, is $300 per shift. Oh, yes. Yes, we do. We've got lease purchase in several states. If you're interested in lease purchase, let us know. We can give you more detail on that. Lease purchase available in both flatbed and refrigerated options. And we'll be talking about that here soon as well. If you haven't already got information on there, check it out. 888-668-0698. It is an option for you. Teams, we do have teams, Joseph. That would be you. 50 cents is the base. So that's, of course, if you are a student and you want to, and you just graduated, then you'll need to take care of getting your training time first. So you'll be with a trainer for 3 to 5 weeks first, individual trainers if you're both new to trucking. And 3 to 5 weeks with a trainer, you get paid $500 a week while you're with a trainer. And then you can start running as a team once you've completed your training. At that point, it's 50 cents a mile is the base. So 25 cents per driver, 5 cents per driver of that 25 is going to be per diem. So 10 cents total of the 50, 5 cents each of the 25 is going to be per diem. So you're not taxed on it. It means a little bit more take home on a weekly basis for you. So the more miles you guys run as a team per month, the more you get per mile as pay. So the extra cents per mile is going to be on a bonus. Every Friday, you'll get paid the 50 cents a mile times the miles that you ran and you got in by Saturday night at 10 p.m. And then the month, once that month is complete, so everything that you run in April will be figured, and the third week of May, you'll be paid for all of your miles. You'll be paid the bonus for all of the miles that you ran in April that were paid within April. So let's see here, Monday, or the third pay period of May would include 12 to 14,000 miles, would get an extra 2 cents a mile. 14 to 16,000 miles for the total for the truck for that month would get an extra 4 cents a mile. 16 to 18, an extra 6 cents a mile. And anything over 18,000 miles a month is going to get an extra 8 cents a mile. So again, that's going to be paid on all of the miles, not just the amount over, but all of the miles that you ran, that you were paid for the month of April. So those during those pay periods. Okay. If you have any questions, go ahead and give us a call, 888-668-0698. We'll give you some more details on that, if that's relevant. And the scorecard bonus. We've got those bonuses. It'll affect especially our over-the-road drivers, anywhere from up to 4 cents per mile for our company drivers, up to 3 cents a mile for our lease purchase and our owner operators. So Anna has gone ahead and put the links to videos on there, as well as our blog, so you can check that out and get more information.